So I always want to say hello to people on YouTube because I'm proud to say the YouTube channel is growing. So that's like a good thing. I'm happy about that. A lot of things I'm doing on Instagram, I'm kind of broadening out and doing different things, which I like because my personality lends itself sometimes to getting a bit bored. So I like to multitask and be multidimensional and travel into iPhone photography as well as speak on quantum spirituality. Now, why is that? Because I don't want anybody to pin me into one thing. And you shouldn't want anybody to pin yourself into one thing. You should be able to be multidimensional in your creative output in your life. That's why you move across timelines, you create your life across timelines, and you can change and do anything you want to do. In fact, you can do more than what you imagine if you allow yourself to just accept change as part of life. That's real hard for people. People like to be settled down in conformity. It very stresses people out to think about uncertainty. They don't want to think about fear, so they try to stay safe. But in staying safe, you really subject yourself to just this mundane, rote life. And that is not what quantum is about. So we're going to talk about our quantum self, how we co-create with our ego. We'll co-create with our ego, whether our ego is surrendered or not, because we'll talk about consciousness and the effect that consciousness has on the manifestation of what you want to see come to pass in your life. So let's start with some notes. You know, I'm reading this book by Amit Goswami. It's called Quantum Creativity. He's a physicist, a metaphysicist, quantum physicist, and he talks about inner creativity and outer creativity. So most of the time when you're talking to people about creativity, they put their hands up, they run away. When I decided to switch into creativity a little bit, like I just lost people. I knew that was going to happen because for some reason, people don't want to see themselves as creative. It's much easier to follow than it is to intentionally lead your own life. It's much easier, and we've been trained to follow. We've been trained to subject ourselves to the lowest possible reality and to stay there, because opening yourself up to uncertainty opens yourself up to risk, opens yourself up to really looking if there's any guilt or shame in your life. It opens yourself up to accepting you just as you are. You just show up. You just show up, and so many people are just scared of showing up due to peer pressure, rejection, you name it. So I believe that creativity is going to be so important in the days ahead. It's going to be important because as we discover who we are in our oneness, in our union, in this divine entanglement, that doesn't mean we just blend in with this collective consciousness and somehow become this nebulous blob void that never has individuality or distinctiveness. That is not true. Because even if you look at scripture, when God would say, before I formed you, I knew you. It's not a mass collectiveness that God is looking at, but the individuality of how you create your life in your incarnation in this earth. You will be joyful and happy when you find that place non-competitive. So Amit Goswami talks about inner creativity and outer creativity. I'm going to talk about inner creativity and whatever you flow in from that, whatever you create, businesses, writing books, doing Facebook Live, starting a YouTube channel, doing reels, enjoying being a stay-at-home mother, enjoy being a mother that's a lawyer or a doctor. It is about creating your life from the inner creativity and knowing that is within you in your consciousness. So what is this inner creativity? It is the transformative power of change. If you want to be creative, and if you want your life to flow in movement, you're going to have to accept change as your default reality. You're going to have to accept change as the norm in your life, not change for change's sake, not to constantly stir up change to make a name for yourself. But as soon as you open yourself up to being who you want to be, you're going to have to encounter change because you're going to have to relax in the fact that your life is going to move upon the synchronicities that constantly present themselves to you, open doors, quantum leaps into new timelines, into new realms, discovering and exploring things about yourself that you didn't know. And that change will change the energy on you. It will change your energy signature, and you will move in love, in joy, in ways that you've never done before. So you accept change as reality. You understand that the universe has your back. You come to a knowing that you live in a participatory universe. So there's no sense complaining and bitching about what anyone else has an effect on you. It is your responsibility and your intention to affect change in your own life, to take the responsibility to be creative and to move in a way that is inherently you. And who doesn't want that? We don't think we want it because it involves fear, but when you get into that place of knowing who you are, there's no greater joy. So it is the transformative power of change in your life that is inner creativity. And it is that consciousness, which is not mind, it's not matter. Consciousness is that essence of the I am in you. It's the hardest subject to teach. It's a little bit hard to comprehend. Why is that? Because we want to understand it through a linear mindset. And you can't understand it. It is something that is spiral learning that just grows in you. So consciousness is the I am. It is the I am moving through Deborah, who activates within the brain and the mind and the heart and the gut in a coherence that I have the heart intelligence to access the quantum field, of which I am already in. So I am the field, I am in the field is in me. Everything I need is already within me. And it's a constant learning curve to create new things that present themselves to me that are already within me in my divine blueprint. That's difficult for people because we still live in such a world of duality. So when you want to transform as an individual, when you have the transformation happening in your life of inner creativity, you start to awaken, okay? When you see that happen, suddenly it's yielding new contexts in your life. Now I'm going to explain that in a minute. I'm going to tell you what context is about. It's that backstory. It's that event that happens because of the backstory of the event. It's why you live your life, the essence of the backstory of why I am that I am. And so my life provides a context for what I'm going to create. So as I transform, I move in the reality of the context of my story. Every story has a context. Every movie that we watch, there's a context and a narrative of why these experiences are happening in a movie. So your life is built upon context. If you live in trauma, your life will be built upon, the context of your life will be fear, and how you motivate your life and how you live in your life will be based upon the context of fear. Why? Because that's your backstory. Every story is going to be put forth in the creative power of its transformation. But once you understand quantum concepts, oneness, non-duality, consciousness, your context is going to open yourself up to new synchronicities and new experiences that will change your life into being creative. It's all about context. Now, let me explain it again so we get it in our spirit. Context is the circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea in order for it to be fully understood. So if you go to a funeral, let's say a funeral, what's the context of the funeral? How do you view who just passed on? If it's the end of your life and you're plagued with regret and guilt, the energy, the context that's provided at that funeral is going to be one of sadness and despair, never really celebrating. But if you know that this person has passed on to something greater, and you look at the reality of everything that person has provided in your life, the context provided of that funeral will be joy and celebration. And what will manifest at the funeral will be the joy and the celebration that is spread within the context of the story. So what about your life? What's your context? How do you define yourself? Who's writing your story? What is your story about? And what's forming your story in the context? If you live in the past, the context is going to be the past. If you're living in the reality of oneness, what's going to happen is you're going to be overcome with elevated emotions of love and joy and peace. And the access to the quantum field is going to be a wide open possibility of potential. Then that context in which you live your life is going to be consistent change and creativity. So your life holds meaning in the context of your experiences. Change your context, you're going to change your experiences. If you're going to surround yourself with negativity, the life story that you write will be one of fear and negativity, because the context of how I see my life forms the experiences of my life. And once I get a taste of that, once I get past the fear of a lower vibration, then I just want to keep creating and keep expanding and keep going for it, because risk becomes the norm, uncertainty becomes the reality, change becomes my default, and I'm going to truly trust that when Einstein said, this is a participatory universe, that the universe is on my side. I set intention to provide my context of my story moving forward, and what develops is Deborah. The consciousness that is who I already am is now manifest as me, and you manifest as you without any hidden agendas or hidden masks that we wear to try to be everything to everybody. Let me say this. When you try to be everything to everybody, you're going to end up in a dead zone. There are places in the ocean that are called dead zones. They have no oxygen. How do they develop? Pollution, climate change, whatever. But there's no life in these places. So when you consistently try to be someone you're not, you're going to stay in that dead zone, and it's going to provide you with a loop. You're constantly going to be looping in trying to gauge who you are by everybody else that's with you in that dead zone. But if you keep moving and get past the rejection and the fear, and you come out on the other side, you're going to come out to a wide open field of exploration. I keep saying this every week because this is my purpose in my incarnation. My purpose in my incarnation is to be a quantum creativity coach, okay? Let me say it like that. I'm going to try to help people to break out of their mold through inspiration and through just walking alongside the person, to tell them that my gift is I can see right in you. I know it's there. I'm not going to set you up for failure. So it is essential that you be creative, because no greater joy. So when creativity expresses in your life, your quantum self that is existing in consciousness in the field as the field, there is no script, okay? There's no energy writing a script. It is the I am. We'll all encounter that. Some people have experiences where they encounter that now. We're going to encounter that as our reality in this quantum field, but we're in the field, but we're also in a 3D realm. So we're going to manifest what's already in the field in our life here. We're going to manifest something through the awareness of our consciousness as it links into our mind and our heart to access the field, because consciousness in and of itself produces nothing, okay? You can talk about consciousness, it is a self-awareness, but if you grow in self-awareness and you grow in light, it will not produce any creativity in your life unless you take that step to get past the idea into manifesting the essence of who you are, which is your blueprint in the field. You will know that through times of silence. You will know that through times of meditation. You will know that through what you're being led to study when you get rid of old mindsets and move into the new. So there's no script. You are co-creating. You're not downloading any script that says, this is what you should be. I can do anything I want at any time I want. I need no one else's permission, but my desire is that I would hook into the very essence of my being and go after the desires of that individuated consciousness of who I am created to be, not created to do. So when I manifest the being of myself in the earth realm, it is because I am manifesting the essence of my true consciousness. My essence will always be in the essence of I am creative. I am curious. That penetrates every area of my life. I can't get away from it. I can't move away from it because it is interwoven into my DNA. What's in yours? Have you ever stopped to really wonder what motivates you to manifest the essence of who you are? Or are you just manifesting who everybody else says you are, not knowing who you really are? So there's no script. That throws people off balance right then, because they want to know what to do. They want 10-point plans. That's not how you learn quantum. It's spiral learning. This is not what this message is going to be about. You can write down thoughts, but I can't give you a 10-step plan in how to be you. That's the beauty of your quantum self. So when you change the script and you engage your ego with your quantum self to navigate this realm in a surrendered ego, in a creative ego, and how to manifest the desire of who you are through your personality. You don't have to change, maybe need to get healed. I've always been told my whole life, and I kid you not, if I've heard once, I've heard hundreds of times, Deborah, you're just too much. You're just too much. Well, I believed it. So I toned down, and that frustration locked me down. I am too much. I'm too loud. I say things off color. I talk too much. I laugh too much. I try too many things. I fail a million times. But when I realized that that is who I am, it gave me a freedom to be that. So what is keeping you from, what lies are you believing that people have told you that's not really you, that's inhibiting you from manifesting the creativity of your life? Some of you watching this, maybe you want to do something you've never given yourself the freedom to do because you've never believed you can. It's as simple as that. It's not a good meme. It's as simple as that. So there's no script. You are co-creating your life. You can do anything you want to do. You want to be a doctor, go to medical school. Believe, has set an intention, believe it's going to happen. You want to be an artist, just start painting, start doing something. You can do anything you want to do. You can do anything you want to do. There's nobody telling you what to do. The consciousness of your quantum self is showing you directions that you may go to manifest, but it will let you go any way you want to go. You can create out of ego and pride and fear, or you can create a life based upon the true design of your blueprint. So let's talk about consciousness. We hear a lot about there's a rise in consciousness. What does that mean? Well, let's try to make consciousness a little bit easier to understand. Let's talk about our quantum self, and then let's talk about ego, okay? Because those two are always going to work together. You're never going to get rid of one. How can I be me in how I look and how I sound and how I move without my ego? That's not possible. You're not going to live in bliss all the time. You're going to live in suffering sometimes. You're going to feel pain. You're going to feel sorrow. You're going to feel joy because you're manifesting as a human in this realm. And you're going to have all those things, but all those things can make you stronger, not weaker, because there is a fulfillment and a beauty that will come out of everything you go through, no matter what it is. That's kind of hard for many people to believe because they're trying to circumvent and navigate into this place of bliss where nothing happens. Ain't going to happen, folks. Your ego has been given to you to navigate this earth in your quantum self. Now, there is a distinction between your ego and your quantum self. Your quantum self is that consciousness in the field that holds your divine blueprint. It's the oneness that you feel, all those concepts that we teach, light, sound. So in your quantum self, you are creative. You are just creative because that is where you're going to receive intuition. That is where you're going to encounter synchronicities. That is not based upon a linear mindset. That will be those synchronicities that come to you and point a direction that you have feared going, but it opens that door and says, go that way. But you want to know something? Any synchronicity that happens, that shows and appears itself to you in your being, it's already in you. So you're not going to get synchronicities that you do not have the capability, nor the intention, nor the love, nor the creativity to flow in, because the universe is not setting you up for failure. It never sets you up for failure. So those synchronicities are perhaps moments of time where you're just not getting it. I believe in Creator God. So, in me as an observer, maybe I'm not getting it and I'm falling far less than my potential. Those synchronicities will rise up. We think they're coming from outside of us. No, they're an invitation from our consciousness to be us, because the journey on the other side of the synchronicity is much more creative than the journey in fear on this side of the synchronicity. So we get synchronicities to spur us on. That is our quantum self, embedded and encoded in our divine DNA, in our essence, in the field. God knows you before you were formed, before you come into this earth. You are known, loved, and participating with the universe through your consciousness to create your part of this universe. So that quantum self is creative. Now the ego, if you let it go unchecked, it's going to fight that every step of the way, because it's going to bring up stuff from your subconscious that tells you why you can't do what you're supposed to do. It will have reasoning. It will give you every excuse why you shouldn't. But as you are healed, and as you obviously know the love energy of the quantum field, as you know your union, as you know your participation in the universe and God that has your back inside of you, that you have been created for such a time as this, that reasoning will get healed and not be subjected to the subconscious realm of fear. And it will suddenly open itself up to the creativity with hands raised and say, hey, I'm going to co-create with my quantum self, which means when I get these synchronicities and God tells Deborah to go to Finland, the ego in the subconscious realm says, don't do it, don't do it. You don't have the money, you don't have the time, you're never going to regroup the money. What in the hell are you going there for? But a surrendered ego, a curious ego, an ego that sees more than what can possibly imagine says, hell, I'll go, let's go. So it's a synchronicity that ego surrenders, moves from my participation to buy the ticket, to arrange going, to show up as me in a nation where I didn't actually know why I was there, and to follow the synchronicities that are coming from my grand design that is encoded in the quantum realm as I write out my script, not download my script. I am writing my script. That's one example. So when you subject reasoning with creativity, you're going to get wisdom. Wisdom will be the overflow of creativity and reasoning. You know, I mean, you have to overcome that sense of not wanting to do it. But when reasoning is linked with creativity, it will give you the plans. It will show you the resources. It will show you the way. Maybe that's what Jesus meant when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Maybe he lived in this realm in his quantum self, also with a surrendered ego to constantly move in a creative life. That's why he said, look at me, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. You are the way, the truth, and the life. You are the way, the truth, and the life, and your way is being placed before you to co-create. Now, the quantum self is also synchronistic, where the ego is deterministic. What does that mean? The ego operates more on a linear understanding of what's going on in the world. That's why it sets up barriers, or it'll give you a sense of freedom. So the quantum self is synchronistic, which means it's moving on intuition. But please remember, that intuition isn't just coming down from nowhere. That intuition has already been embedded in your consciousness, in your true design. Maybe you don't know you want to be a poet. Maybe you don't know you want to be a lawyer or a writer or a singer or play a guitar. Maybe you don't know it. So those synchronicities will rise up because you are known before you are known here. You are known before you are known here. So it lives in the essence of synchronicity, but to receive a synchronicity in the mind, how you see it, and in the heart, how you know it, you have to do something with it. You can't just sit there and just sit on it all the time. That is the dead zone, where you just receive all this and then just let it die because you're more concerned with what other people think. So the ego is more deterministic, whereas the quantum self is flowing, but an ego that is unsurrendered is deterministic, and it's going to tell you everything that can linearly happen to you. Deborah, you get on that plane to Finland. What a fool. You're using all that money to go to Finland. What if you are out of God's timing and the plane crashes? What if you don't know what to do when you get there? Why are you doing something so stupid? Can't you just fit in? No. I can't, and neither can you. You should not want to fit in. So it's deterministic. It tells you what you can and cannot do from a deterministic mindset that says, I know you better than you. I know your pain. I know your sorrow. I know your fear, and I'm going to show you what you can and cannot do. But a submitted ego says, hell yeah, let's go for it. Let's go buy those winter clothes. Let's get that airplane ticket. Let's do what we're called. Let's even, hey, I'll help you get the dates. Let's move together, that ego and me moving together, because whether we like it or not, I had to get on that plane at a certain day, at a certain time. I had to land in Helsinki. I had to have the appropriate clothing. I had to step out with a surrendered ego that says, hell, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I kind of like the journey. That's probably how many of us should live. We should probably enjoy the journey. Also, is this good? Are you guys getting this? Tell me you're getting this. The quantum self is also, there's many comparisons. The quantum self is non-local. That's what Jesus meant when he said in the world, but not of the world. The quantum self is in the energy field of the quantum field. It's in the consciousness of the field, which is actually right here. I'm in my field, in the greater field. I access the greater field through my Christ mind, through my God consciousness. I'm in the field of the field. Everything is within me, encoded within me. I am the quantum creator. Okay, that's who I am. That's who you are. You don't have to look outside yourself. So I'm non-local. That is my blueprint. But the local is the ego that has to be manifested into this earth realm, because you should not be looking to get out of it. You should be, I know, now I don't say that lightly, okay? I know people are struggling with health issues, financial issues, marital issues, children. I get it. I've been there. I'm not telling you to ignore it, but I'm telling you that if you keep your focus on a local realm, you will never access the potential of the field, because that potential of the field are things that you can barely even imagine are true. So now let's talk about the quantum self. This is your true design. This is your blueprint. This is embedded. I'm going to keep repeating that. You're not coming from nothing, okay? You're bursting onto the scene, choosing to come into this time with an embedding already in you, but we forget. We forget. Go read Richard Rohr's book on the universal Christ. We forget. As children, we remember. By the time we're 5 years old, we not only deconstruct from creativity, our lives, we have no memory. We start listening to the programs. Oh, Christ. This stuff going on. When I started reading about how much creativity has been pulled out of the schools, I heard this guy talk, and I hope I'm going to tell the story right. Do you know that China so values creativity, and they know that the essence of creativity is innovation? So what they've decided to do is pump creativity, even in the midst of a corrupt system, pump creativity into the young people so that they can innovate and compete in the greatest way on the world stage. What are we doing? We're not doing anything like that. We have standardized tests, rote materials, teachers that are so bogged down with administration, they can't teach even if they wanted to. We have kids that don't know who they are. We've taken music out of schools, art out of schools, acting out of schools. We've dumbed down, we don't want higher education. We don't want accelerated classes, because why? We're trying to get everybody into this template of conformity, because once you're in a template of conformity, you can be controlled. But take heart, because with the rise of global consciousness and the rise of light in and through us, that's never going to happen. You will never be controlled. I will never be controlled, because I am a sovereign, authentic, autonomous being that, even though I may have to do some things, that they'll never control my inner being. Nobody can touch that place of substance within you. That's why that book, but is it Viktor Frankl who wrote that book while he was in the Nazi concentration camp, The Significance of Being, I think it's called. He didn't let all that crap bother him. Even though he was plagued with the pain and the sorrow every day, he maintained the significance of his being, because nobody can touch your substance. Nobody. So the quantum self, you access it. Our consciousness is in the field. We are the field. So consciousness is not your brain. It's not your heart. It's not your mind. Those are tools that consciousness uses to create. Those will pass away. You won't always have the organ of your heart or your brain, or you will not, I don't believe you'll necessarily need your mind to navigate access to the field, because if I pass in my physical being, I'm in the field is in me. I've just changed forms. So the pureness of my being, the substance of I am, that is my consciousness. I am what? I don't know. You've got to figure that out for yourself. This isn't a quiz where there's a right or wrong answer. I am is not what I do. I am is who I am. Generally speaking, when people are jealous or intimidated by you, they're going to come strongly at your I am. And you will know that that is who you are by the fact that they don't like you moving in the freedom of who you are. So they will do everything they can to cast doubt on that, to bring you into worry or fear that you're not enough, you can't do it, you're not smart enough, you're not young enough, you're not brave enough. All those you are statements, instead of you actually taking back that autonomy and saying, I am. So this consciousness, you are an individuated energy or a container of reality in the wholeness of a collective consciousness. We are in a global consciousness of everybody that has come into this earth and everybody that is in the field, all the energy, all the essence of who everybody is. But I believe wholly that in that consciousness, I am an individuated creative being. I have to believe that. I don't believe I was created to just be like everybody else. If the world is created on the diversity of form and the beauty of structure, why would I be anything less? Why would I even be like you? So maybe my basic form and structure and my humanity is similar to you, yet how I express that is quite different based upon the context of my story. I'm a Polish girl from Chicago whose grandparents came from Poland. I was raised up in their stories. I was raised up with that cultural heritage. So there's certain things about me that are forming the experience of my life. As much as I've tried to cut, I remember a time when I thought, I'm not going to talk as much. I'm not going to talk as much. And as soon as I get into the dog park, I'm like, I'm not going to talk. But I have to. Because as soon as I meet someone, I'm so curious about their life. I'll be in the dog park asking them, well, what do you do for a living? Do you like it? Well, how do you like it? Where have you lived before? Were you born here? Were you raised here? Oh, were your parents? So that's me. What's you? I'm not changing in that regard. That will always be me because I love people. So the intuitive insights that you have already embedded within you, those synchronicities that are already within you, provide a new context, as we said, to create in new experiences, also in a new language. The reason people sometimes balk at quantum is because they don't understand the language and they leave too quick. Trust me, just start listening, put all the objections aside, and if the more you listen, the more you learn, the more you'll get it. So you are manifesting through your life with intention. Consciousness is not going to do it for you. It is the foundation and the essence of who you are, but you choose to access how you're going to live your life with intention. It's not anybody's fault. It is not anybody's responsibility. It is you. It is me. So we focus on within, not without. Now we talked about the ego. We co-create with our quantum self. But let's end with a few more things like this. Let's see how much more time. 10 more minutes. Everything that is built and based on knowledge, wisdom, and experiences. So you're not going to write a French poem if you don't know French. To learn French, you're going to have to set your intention in wisdom on learning something that may be contrary to you. So I believe that the intuitive synchronicities that come from the field that are already in us are going to give us the experience to create new things. If I want to learn French, I've got to learn French. Now, okay, maybe I think we dumbed down so much in Christianity. We just attributed everything to the miraculous. God was just going to come upon me and I'm automatically going to speak in a new language. That defeats the purpose of the beauty of your humanity. In the struggle, there is wisdom. And in the struggle, there is creativity. In the struggle, there is satisfaction. In the struggle, there is wonder. In the struggle, there is curiosity. You can't ever avoid the struggle of living in a world that sometimes is not at its best. So in this intuition of you're going to have everything's already in you, but you have to put forth the intention to learn it. How long were we trained of sitting and receiving? Oh God. Never questioning, never asking, never wondering, like sheep going in, sheep going out. And suddenly we're exposed to this reality that, hey, if I want to learn French, I probably should get a Babbel app. If I want to learn technology, I probably should start learning it. Boredom and conformity always makes excuses and puts it outside yourself when you have no one else. You have no one else to look to but yourself for the reason that you are not creative. So go be creative in one thing, change up your routine. So you have to lead out in yourself. You have to learn, you have to grow, you have to expand, you have to open yourself up to new teaching, new music, new people, new culture. That's why travel, I think that's why I'm so diverse, because I have had the beautiful, beautiful travel throughout the whole world. And that travel has deconstructed me down to the pure essence of love and non-judgment, that it is a beautiful world out there. And that is why I can speak now in my calling, because I've traveled. But what is yours? What are you not learning, thinking it's going to automatically come to you from osmosis, or shame is keeping you, or procrastination is keeping you locked down so that you're just not stepping out because maybe you don't feel smart enough? How many people keep saying to me, I just don't get this. I don't like math. Well, if you don't, then you're not going to experience it. It's as simple as that. So creativity, last thing, watch this time. Early on in our physical development, their learning tends to accumulate, and we fall prey to conditioned responses and patterns around 5 years old. That's when they find creativity just drops off, because we're learning these patterns. I saw this TED Talk that said we learn how to say no. Mothers are always saying no to their children. Teachers are all saying no. The very fact that we take standardized tests means that's an automatic no, because when you put an answer down, you get it wrong. It's like, no, you're wrong. So we're embedded with this negativity that just drifts away. But thank God that no matter what age you're at, you can instill and move in that creativity more. So what Amika Swami says is that in the quantum self, in a higher awareness of the field, we receive things through the coherence of heart and mind. And that's what we're teaching in the quantum courses. We have an energy awareness. We have a quantum concept awareness. We start using the language of synchronicity. And so we're learning all these things, which puts me personally at rest, not to strive to be anything. Do you know that Einstein received the theory of relativity, not sitting in a lab? I think it said he was in a boat resting on the middle of a lake, because he dropped all pretense, lots of subconscious programming. So see, and then Descartes, he was a mathematician. He had 3 dreams that showed him how to discover calculus. He didn't do it by striving. It came from his intuition, through a dream state, through the acceptance of his quantum self, and then he had to take the ball and run with it. He had to go with it. There's no excuse for not being creative, because if Einstein could develop the theory of relativity while sitting in a boat, but he had all the precursor physics stuff, he didn't just show up on the boat and say, gee, I think I'm going to change the world with the theory of relativity and gravity. No, he moved in it, he learned. So maybe some of you are stalled because you have not taken the first steps to move in the direction. You're not going to arrive at a point you're already there. Okay, those things were already inside of you. Now you have to intentionally begin to follow them and overcome all your objections, the stupidness, I'm not enough, all the lies, all that subconscious programming, that has to go. And you need to take a risk to show up. So here's what Amika Swami says. We'll end with this. You're always confronted by a primary awareness, a direct stimuli. Something comes to you. Like 5-year-olds, they grasp it. They're grabbing at everything. That's why they're moving. And I'm kind of like that. Like, look, there's a squirrel. Oh, there's a squirrel. So but in that, I'm always shifting and moving my focus and my attention because I'm curious. So those are all primary stimuli coming at me. And some of them then, listen carefully, they then lodge in my being as secondary stimuli, and they form memory recall. Are you with me? Those primary stimuli form a secondary stimuli, a secondary awareness in me that is my memory. Now, here's the deal. If you never keep exposing yourself with a curiosity to learn, if you just start taking in that stuff and sitting on it, all you're bringing up is a constant memory loop. And you're never going to create because you have stopped exposing yourself to primary stimuli. What are primary stimuli? Intuition, quantum leaps where you hear a voice say, do this, synchronicities that open doors into great adventures to travel the world. Those are things that stimulate that primary source of awareness in you, but we lock it down. We don't want it. We just want to go to work. We want to come home. We want to go to bed. We fall into this routine, and that routine confirms itself. It confirms itself over and over, and ego loves the fact that you are not doing anything else but that. It's got you locked down. in those shadows, in that subconscious program. Well, all the time, the quantum self is saying, listen, there's a wide open field of exploration. It's yours. What do you want to do with it? So you have to expose yourself to those primary stimuli. As I said, read something you've never read before. Watch something you've never watched before. Go to a concert of music you've never listened to before. Change the way you go to work. Read a different book. Watch a different show. Meet with different people. Expose yourself to people that don't agree with you at all. Get out of the rut of your own algorithm. You have created an algorithm for your life. You're fed up with Facebook because you're seeing the same people when you're creating your own algorithm for your life, and you're substantiating the algorithm by saying, why am I doing the same things all the time? Because you want it, because you want it. But there's a way out. And that's what we're going to keep teaching when we start this subscription in January. That's what I'm teaching in the Quantum Creativity Workshop, is how to break out of that mold that you have created. So without intention, we slow down and suddenly we are trapped in what was a primary awareness has now become a secondary awareness that keeps me comfortable and keeps me certain, keeps me soft, keeps me predictable. And I get trapped in that, and it loops into conformity. And then one day we wake up and our life is over and we wonder, what the hell have I done with it? What have I done with this beautiful gift of these sensual senses that I have? The beauty of smell, the beauty to fail so that I learn and I feel compassion and love in my heart. I don't judge myself nor other people, which forges a path ahead of me that becomes my path. This is my passion. I'm going to leave with this. The course creator this morning said to me, because I enlisted course creators, because I'm going headlong into this school, I'm not backing down, and it's going to be phenomenal. She said to me, you, my dear, are a quantum creativity coach. Because I said to her, not a life coach, not a doctor, but I don't even like that word, spiritual leader. So what am I? And she, out of her mouth, I go, oh, that's it. That's what I am. That's what we're learning in this Quantum Creativity Workshop. We're learning to be ourselves, and we're because it's the first time I'm doing this, we're walking it out as we go. So how can I leave you? What can I leave you with this last minute? I believe in you. The very fact that you're listening to this, bravo, bravo. Let there come no shame or judgment upon you in anything I'm saying. Let there come no competition. Let there come no ability to have to be better. You know who I bond with? You know who most of my friends are? The ones that are raw and open and fail miserably and show me themselves in their lowest points. And I say to myself, now that's someone I can bond with, because there's nothing hidden there. There's no masks. There's nothing prohibiting me from seeing them in their best points and their worst points. So I love you guys. Let me know what you've learned. Last thing, I'm going to offer the second A Curious Quantum Awakening, where for 5 weeks, we're going to study quantum concepts. I'm going to offer it again in about 3 weeks or so. It is a paid course, and the people that took it the first time can add to the second time, because I haven't. Dr. Kay Fairchild, what a glorious future we have. I can't wait to talk to you next week. Thank you guys. Love you. I hope this helps. Be you. It's as simple as that. Write me, ask me questions. I'll read the comments later. It's a good day.